Yes, please, bro. Bricky's RE4 remake review.
Present for you. Ah!
Oh. Yep, there it is.
Oh my god, what? Oh my god. Leon, why did you do a flip? Leon, why did you do a flip?
Leon didn't have to do the flip, he chose to do the flip to be dramatic.
Oh, it's still here! Yeah, well that's like the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. This
Yeah, the Plaga Seas don't play around in this game.
is gonna break, I'm gonna fall down, I'm gonna have to fight somebody. I know it. Oh. Oh. Oh, good.
Got him!
Damn it! Hello everybody, my name is Bricky. Do you like war? Do you enjoy the clouds above and the funny things they spit out often? One might even call it thunder? Then you might like one of the most comprehensive vehicle combat games ever made, War Thunder, the sponsor of today's video. War Thunder is a fantastic, highly detailed and immersive war game that has over 2,000 planes, helicopters, tanks, and boats across a variety of time frames. Its combined arm, very dynamic battles boast a ton of interesting customization, as well as highly detailed and immersive gameplay that you can do in all sorts of manners. And you can play it on PC, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and the older generation consoles, which is great because the entirety of War Thunder spans over 100 years of development, all the way back to the 1920s, and it has unparalleled customization with all of those different kinds of vehicles, including hundreds of camos, 3D modeling, historical signifiers, and so on. Personally, I've always thought the landscapes were really cool because the different kinds of perspectives you have, whether it's on a plane or, you know, going down in a tank, there's so many different kinds of fidelity, and making it look good from so many various avenues of piloting different kinds of vehicles it adds a good bit of immersion to it. You know, what you need in a plane versus what you need in a ship and what you need in a tank is all very different, and yet it seems so seamless. And you can download War Thunder right now by going down, checking the link in the description, and giving it a shot on, like I said, PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, including the older gen consoles. Though, if you register on PC, you do get a large free bonus pack as well, which includes a premium account, multiple vehicles, boosters, and more. So go ahead, check out the link in the description, download War Thunder, play it yourself right now, and thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently making a fool of myself trying to escape the insane chainsaw man.
To be fair, it feels like the event flags to get outside of the village are different than they used to be. On professional, he's a rough boy to deal with.
Resident Evil 4. They don't do that in the game. I don't know why. Clearly, these residents are evil. Capcom has seemed to have found their newest golden goose. Sure, we can make more Resident Evil games, and we will, but we can just also at the same time remaster the old ones one after the other, and they'll sell like treasure maps from a creepy merchant.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we've been asking for some of the Resident Evil remakes. We still don't have a Code Veronica remake, which I know a lot of people would like to have a remake. Apparently, it gates you at a certain point, allegedly. Hence why I didn't sell super well, I guess. So this is all through hearsay. This has yet to be validated. But we don't have a Code Veronica remake. Like, yeah, no, a lot of people want Resident Evil. And so here's the thing, is that even with the ticket thing, you know, even with the Resident Evil 4 upgrade ticket situation, which I'm sure Bricky will get into, you know, even with that, I feel like that's a corporate box they have to check off to be like, oh yeah, see, we have microtransactions in the game. The game still functions. The game is still good. You can still go back and play the game and it not be ruined by like Destiny 2 server stability, right? With Bungie's server instability right now, it can't be ruined by the EA patching Dead Space remake to somehow be less stable. Like I feel like I need to down patch my Dead Space because it just made it something about their patch just made the game more unstable. I don't get it. So I mean, you can still go back and they have a good like, oh yeah, no, here, have the single player experience. Like, damn, okay. You heard what we wanted. Cool, awesome. Yeah, we're going to support this.
And sell it has. I was planning to discuss this game regardless of if it did well, since I had playthroughs of the second and third game's remake. The second one I consider to be the best remake of all time, and the third leaving me a bit wanting. First time I've ever seen a dodge button make a game worse. But Resident Evil 4, like, it's the one, isn't it? It's the one that everyone has extremely fond memories of. Back releasing in 2005, it was that era where games were really getting better and better and didn't quite hit that gray military simulator era. The things RE4 did for games is a list and a video in itself, not just for the series it was in, but for action horror as a genre. Like it or not, you cannot deny its impact. So,
No.
big weight on its shoulders, yeah? Sure, RE2 was a knockout, but the best thing about RE3 was giving us a modern Jill Valentine model. You
Yeah. That's the one. I mean, Resident Evil 3 Remake, from my understanding, it's stealth launched from my understanding. I didn't even realize it came out when it did. I still have to play through the older Resident Evils, don't get me wrong. But I've definitely heard that 3 underwhelmed.
You know, hit, miss, what are we gonna get? You know, mainstream games tend to stay in that very positive region on Steam.
Yeah.
When you get really big, someone's going to try to bring you down. Detract from your strengths, be a contrarian, something like that. So, seeing this?
Yeah, seeing overwhelmingly positive, that's a good sign, and we need to be supporting games like this and companies that will put out overwhelmingly positive and functional products.
Was a strong invitation.
Yeah. Gonna move over to Bricky.
Thing is, I remembered playing RE4.
Yeah.
I swore I did. I remembered Ashley, the little dude, the village, and the chainsaw guy, and in particular, Ada. It awakened something in me as a child. But my memory felt like a dream, fading
Yeah, femme fatale Ada. I relate.
in and out of understanding as I played it. Like when I started the game, I was waiting for the
Could sing Kumbaya together at some Boy Scout bonfire.
didn't get that line, and wondering how much of my memory could actually be trusted. Turns out, the dialogue had been adjusted, so
Yes.
not everything was identical, but
It was less campy, I will say. It was a lot less campy. In the original, there were just those really cool one-offs, the action movie one-offs, sing Kumbaya, right? And I saw Another Day at the Office, like Bricky just showcased. Yeah, no, the dialogue used to be a lot more campy and a lot more action movie oriented. We kept the where'd everybody go bingo, or what was it? Where's everybody going bingo at the beginning village? That was interesting. Like, I love that they kept that in. But yeah, there's dialogue they definitely omitted.
But, you know, even so. Starting the game, I was floored with the amount of work the RE engine is putting out. Granted, I've been floored ever since those damn
Burger
physics in RE2, but it just continued to impress. The details, textures, and in particular, hair physics have so much in them, which makes
Yeah.
it all that much funnier when you're playing as Leon.
Yeah.
Oh, Leon.
Capcom made the correct decision in spending as long in the RE engine that they did, because since the engine's done, they can, and it's a good engine, it's a solid engine. They can put out banger after banger. They did the work in advance.
Leon. Those will be the words you'll be uttering the entirety of the game. Now, I know that most, if not all, voice actors are different in this remake.
Yes.
As far as remakes go, normally they either put a gloss of paint over the original, or they bring it up to a texture quality level, or they just completely rebuild it from the ground up. This is ground up. But
Yeah.
I have never seen someone pull off Leon this strongly before. He's able to capture the absolutely dorky attitude this man has, and the both quaint yet terrible one-liners as if he was the original VA.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
He said it. He said the line.
But outside of Leon's one-liners, the thing I noticed the most when playing was just how smooth the overall gameplay is.
Yeah.
Like Resident Evil 4 is often known as action horror, where RE2 is more so survival horror. Ammo
Right.
management, regenerating enemies, and also the big fucker with the hat. But playing RE4 often didn't make me feel helpless or frightened. That's not true. I was frightened plenty. Ooh, spooky.
Yeah, the Ashley section, this is absolutely wild. And also really good for speedrunners too, because if you know what difficulty you're playing on, you can actually, the clock section in here, you can actually just put to the correct time. It changes per difficulty, right? But if you know it, you can just skip like half this section.
Spooky, scary. Oh, fuck! But much like Leon's new badass personality, the gameplay made me feel just as badass. Like starting off, inventory space is no longer as much of a premium. I played the game on the middle difficulty and died fewer than maybe 5 times by anything that wasn't an insta-kill, so chainsaw guy excluded. But with ample inventory space, or at least enough to serve my purposes,
the auto sort was really great. It was a really good addition.
I was never too scared of running low on ammo. Healing items weren't overly plentiful, as sometimes I went through them quite quickly, but I never had the issue of running around at nearly 0 health. There are also a lot of things
I did it a few occasions, but I'm Bricky also, like, what, week 1 soloed Callus in Destiny 2, his had Light Fallen review, right? Soloed legendary Callus. I couldn't do that week 1. No, I couldn't. So Bricky's better than I am at games. I mean, I'll put it that way.
Things that RE4 does that RE2 doesn't. For example, when enemies are dead, they stay dead. The only time I remember an enemy being truly dead in RE2 was when its head exploded. But here, full death is when they drop an item, often money. You might blow their head up and then the squiggly bloodborne forbidden wood creature arrives, but once that gleam of light hits their body, they are dead. But because of that, you got a welcome stream of items to keep going. See, there's a masterful way this game was made so that you never have enough ammo to deal with a whole encounter with a single weapon, but always enough ammo with all your weapons to deal with the whole group. Then, through good scavenging and looting of bodies, the merchant, my beloved,
my beloved, I love the merchant,
can sell you what you need to keep going, which makes me feel insane for what I'm about to say, but this game plays like fucking Doom. Okay, a stretch, maybe, but think about it. Each encounter has a variety of enemies and weapons, and you have good ammo for certain guns, but not all. So you are constantly swapping between pistol, then shotgun, then rifle, running up and spin kicking enemies to the ground, swapping to the SMG to put a mag in something else, then gathering ammo to do it again, all in the same fight. Leon feels like John Wick, for God's sake. This system is further compounded by the gunpowder economy it presents you with. By using gunpowder, you can craft ammo for the weapons you want, but the crafting is split between resources, small and large. So it allows you to make ammo for what you want, giving you a ton of freedom, but not too much freedom that you can spam only one gun. So you have this quasi-Doom-like gameplay, at least in terms of weapon swapping and ammo economy, which reflects Leon's new position as Special Forces badass. Then you have the well-made crafting and merchant system, incentivizing you to experiment with weapons and forcing you to use new stuff while not pushing you too hard down a specific path. And then, when that's all said and done, you reach the merchant, my beloved, with his just amazing dialogue.
An interesting choice. I mean it in a good way, of course.
I was super against the merchants. Like, it didn't feel natural at first. I do love the new merchant now, though. It took me a while to warm up to his voice. Like, I'm sure, because Bricky mentioned previously the voice actors in the game, one of the biggest differences is, yes, the voice actors in the game, and it's the certain tone that characters present. And it's impossible for some of these characters to come back. From my understanding, didn't Krauser's voice actor allegedly suffer, was it dementia or Alzheimer's? One of them, I believe, had also passed on. Like, it's impossible. Like, I get it. Similar with Crisis Core, right? Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII is one of those that, like, I played the remake of, but I'm used to the original voices back from, like, 2005. But, you know, getting used to the new voices, I think Hoju did. I digress. Moving on. There were certain characters that just kind of missed the mark. So Ada Wong's voice actress is not a bad voice actress. She's a really good voice actress. I will say, with the presentation that the script had her do of Ada, it changed Ada from the sultry femme fatale that we knew from the original to current Ada, right? If you listen to Ada in the original versus you listen to current Ada, there's a tonal difference in the character as a whole. It's not character assassination. It's not, you know, nerfing character. It's the tone of Ada Wong as she is presented is just inherently different, and it's something just to be noteworthy of. Once again, she's not a bad voice actress by any stretch of the imagination. I feel that this was just an unfortunate tonal shift of the character for the remake.
Ready to sell you all kinds of new murder tools for the next encounter. And can I just say, too, that I love how the merchant is never explained. Many people I hear want some kind of spin-off thing involving the merchant, and I say that is a soiled jort's opinion. Never explain the merchant. Never explain him. That's what's so fucking fun about him. Besides his accent, dialogue, appearance, feeling of safety, and consistent, unending arsenal of weapons. The merchant is love. The merchant is safety. The merchant is the perfect friend that men love to have. I don't even need to know his name, but we'll be bros for years. We know how to be friends. Unexplained, mysteriously creepy merchant, my beloved. And if this remake didn't feel genius enough already, the parry system. Some may not enjoy the idea of your knife having a durability bar.
I personally didn't, but the Primal Knife max upgrade does fix that in the end game. I would argue if you're going into New Game Plus content, you're trying to do repeated runs, I would argue have the Combat Knife, Krauser's Knife as your main, and then back up with the Primal as your quote-unquote emergency backup, since it has infinite durability. However, the parry window on it's a little tighter from my understanding, so I carry 2 knives in my inventory for the New Game Plus content. The parry system, a lot of people, I think, were mixed on. I personally was kind of mixed on at first, but I grew on me. I liked it. And it does have an incredibly high skill ceiling to it.
Basically acting like knife ammo. I love it. In order to employ more enemies in a proper way and have the threat still present, there need to be some middle ground between RE2 and RE3. Because in RE2, you felt almost helpless when enemies got in melee range, because health was a resource as much as your guns and ammo, plus more survival horror. In RE3, they gave you a dodge button, which was, frankly, far too good. Nemesis became a joke, and a ton of major enemies just didn't matter much because you could just hit dodge on everything they did.
I love hearing about this now, because when I finally play RE3 Remake, it's going to be wild. We're going to play Dark Souls up in here.
So, how do you give a player a higher fighting chance while not being overpowered and still requiring some skill? Ta-da! The knife, the parry, and the durability. When enemies come close, they often grab you. Using the knife allows you to hurt them and get them off of you, but that costs durability. If an enemy tries to take a swing at you, throw something at you, or anything of the like, you can just parry it with the knife, which requires precise, but not too precise timing, and costs durability. The knife itself is actually a shockingly good weapon.
It's nutty, and that's the thing, is that, like, from the original RE4, remember how people use the knife. I think, aren't there knife-only runs in RE4? The knife was really stupid good in RE4, and so naturally, thus they're having to kind of compensate and balance for that. And even then, the knife is still overwhelmingly good. It really is. Krauser's combat knife is still nutty, in my opinion. However, tying it to an ammo system makes sense for game balance. That way you feel like a god sometimes with the knife. But then you're like, oh, my durability's out. But man, I cleared 2 encounters with that single knife.
But then again, durability. In the original, a lot of the game's controls were the reason nearby enemies were such a problem. You couldn't move and shoot, and honestly, the controls were clunky, even if they were, good for the time. So with better controls and smoother combat, making this parry system gives Capcom the ability to hit you with more enemies, make the threat stronger, and still be fair. And I cannot express how much I love the combat in this game, how insanely smooth it is. A smoothness I didn't think possible on the RE engine. It did give me a few problems here and there, like being stun locked by a few enemies.
Yeah, sometimes enemies, if they gang up on you, that is arguably a death sentence. So part of, and I can attest to not doing a lot of parrying in my initial run, initial runs, I should say, like the first 2 to 3 runs, really didn't do a whole lot of parrying. The game is rough, and so thus this gets into the design argument of, and you can argue this with Destiny 2 Lightfall as well, where they want you to use Strand throughout the missions, right? It's you need to use Strand throughout the campaign. If you are going to have your player segue into a particular play style, is that good game design or bad game design? And this is an open question. This is going to be a not a loaded question. I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say, though, right? It's a question that is open but has many answers and interpretations depending on the game, and obviously there's a lot more factors that go into it. If you are going to make Resident Evil 4 Remake harder because of the utility of the knife and the parry system, is that fair to the players that don't want the parry system, that don't want to use the parry? Is it just a skill issue, quote unquote, if they don't want to parry? Is it a get good, quote unquote, if they aren't good at parrying? I feel like this is a ambiguous question, and it's open to interpretation from people in game design. I don't. If you can learn parrying and you're good at it, it's going to carry you miles in this game, and if anything, trivialize certain enemies and encounters. However, if you don't, you could get overwhelmed very easily. So thus, and we enter the balancing point. But ambiguous question. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'd be very curious to see what people think of this system in terms of it from a balancing point, if it's wanting you to use a certain mechanic.
Or just some camera troubles dealing with the bugs in the last third of the game especially. But other than that, it's nearly flawless. Yeah. I cannot believe it's this good. And Tangent, it's just so video gamey. This is going to sound really stupid because it's just more of a feeling, but through my 11-hour playtime of this game, I just had this feeling of a return to games of old. The ability to flip on a game and enjoy it for any stretch of time I played it at. 30 minutes or 3 hours. I had fun. And I think that's all in the structure. Each section has a gimmick. Like whether it's the village or the castle or the island, everything just has a little tidbit. A boating section, the catapult, the blind world leader.
Oh, the catapults.
Looking dudes, the spiked ball, the Ramon statue, the island turrets, all of it gave such a video gamey feel, like a return to the older days, which it is. But
I'm actually surprised they brought back the Salazar statue. That felt incredibly campy from the original RE4. Don't get me wrong, still kind of campy, but it made a little more sense in this. And it was a nice nod to like, hey, remember this? Remember this from the original?
Now I can understand it more. It's what makes no part of this gameplay a slog. There isn't a single part, not one, I can point out that I say I didn't enjoy going through. There are some worse than others.
I would say Castle. Certain parts in Castle can be kind of a slog.
Catapult section comes to mind, but it's just this incredible combat wrapped up in this fun gimmick section.
But I mean, to be fair for me as well, Castle was always about chapter 4-1-ish, I believe. The latter half of the castle, right? Especially through the mines. Oh god, that was a slog fest in the original. Not just, don't get me wrong, there could be people that absolutely like that. For me, it was always a progress gate. I could go from start of the game, I could go into the castle, I could beat the Garador, but then I kind of stopped about the Garador when you have to get into the room where we saw earlier, the room with all the brackish black water, right? The room with, you have to kill enemies on both sides. You have to go down the stairs, stand on both plates, lower the platform. There's 5 scythe wielders that come out, and then you have to actually go up on the platforms to do both of the cranks, and then you can go across the newly raised platform. That room, right? I always stop right about there because that feels like a progress game. It's just the castle. It's just the design of the castle, at least for me. But that being said, you can say that, rubies in terms of gemstones are not as good as diamonds or as good as sapphires, right? I mean, it's still a gemstone, right? It's still a higher quality game, I would argue. I don't think anyone can argue this at this point. It's still a higher quality game. It still has a lot of love behind it, a lot of care and passion into it. And it's a higher quality product than a lot of what the quote-unquote AAA industry is putting out, right? If it has low points, it has low points. I mean, not everything in a game can be a high octane 9 to 10 out of 10, right? All the time. If anything, low portions can set up better portions later, having a cooldown into the action, right? Some people will. I cite Ruby Volume 4. How Ruby Volume 4 was incredibly slow to a lot of people, but it's set up so 5 and 6 could be as action and gung ho as they were. Sometimes you just need a break.
Section that is over rather quickly. You meet the merchant, save, and continue. Even if a spot isn't as good as another, it's over quickly enough, and the gameplay is so strong that it's a constant fluctuation between 9 and 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
There's only one section I hate, and that is with the thick-ass boys.
Yeah.
The regenerators. I didn't remember these from the original, and I hope I never remember it again.
Oh, I remembered those. I was like, oh, no way they're going to be in this game. And then I heard the raspy breathing, and I was like, on stream, I was like,
No, 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 no,
Yep.
no.
Yep.
I'm wasting too much ammo on this fucking guy, and my laser sight's on my MP5, which I have no ammo for. God
No, it is not dead. In these, the Regenerators come back as the Iron Maidens with that. Yep.
Brother in Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Can I never see it again? Can it
That was really interesting, though, to tie up both. Because in the original, we had the Regenerators on the island, right? The test experiments. But in the trash compactor, or going into the trash area, right? I believe that's when we started to encounter the Iron Maidens, right? Then we started to encounter the Iron Maidens. They had all the spikes on them and shit. And it was like, okay, but how are these two connected? And it was always just interesting. And so, no, we have it seems like there's a dormant plaga in the head of this creature that when all the 4 plaga in the body, the center of mass, are taken care of, when they're dealt with, it begins to regenerate itself and activate the plaga within the head, thus turning it into the Iron Maiden, clocking itself in overdrive effectively. It'd be a very, very hot creature for a second. I mean, hot temperature-wise, because that much cellular regeneration, cellular mitosis, would effectively be cooking the flesh around
Did
it.
it never come back?
A few moments later.
Oh, it does.
No. Drop the bridge, Ashley. Drop the bridge. Drop the bridge, Ashley. Drop the bridge. Drop the bridge.
Nice! I didn't even think of that. That's actually genius.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Amazing.
Not because the gameplay is bad. I'm just a bitch. Speaking of little bitches, Ashley.
Mood. I feel this. I resemble this.
Ashley.
Aww.
But what he actually is the biggest fucking clown of this century. So we're going to your house and we're taking away your Xbox. And we're repossessing all of your Fortnite V-Bucks and deleting your account.
No!
Is surprisingly not one. Ashley, in my
Amazing.
fading dream-like memory of the original RE4, was quite horrible, not just from a gameplay point of view, but also as a character point of view. I remember her being grating on the ears, annoying, and just unpleasant to run around with. Of course, this translated into her also being terrible to deal with in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
But I
didn't. Once I had the armor, I didn't play without the armor.
I digress. It seems like every character has had some kind of glow up here or there in this remake. I wasn't sure if my original thoughts on Ashley were true because the Ashley of 2023 is great. Her VA is far easier to listen to. She's much more of a scared yet doing her best type of character compared to basically inept. And I also like her outfit change.
Right. Ashley is, for all intents and purposes, a college student that got kidnapped by a special forces maniac and thrown into a cult situation where she's being held against her will at ransom and also infected with this unknown parasite that can take her over. You know, she obviously is going to be scared. She's not going to know about a whole lot of things because she's a college student. Yeah, don't get me wrong, there's exceptions in terms of college students and, you know, people in their mid-20s. Oh, well, I know how to do this. Oh, I know how to do this, right? But I mean, Ashley, from being coming from an aristocratic background, right? She's the president's daughter. Arguably, she come from a political upbringing, you know, I would argue aristocratic, right? An aristocratic upbringing, right? Do you think she's going to know about, you know, sparring? Do you think she's going to necessarily know about self-defense in certain capacities? I mean, obviously, you know, she could know about certain self-defense things, you know, being a daughter of politics and aristocrats, right? I mean, she could have taken self-defense classes, absolutely. However, cults and maniacs are a little different, especially when you're fighting special forces.
Just a bit more mature, acts a bit more mature. And for a game whose entire point is being an escort mission, this is one of the least egregious ones.
I don't know. I don't think Bricky's gonna bring it up as well. I know Maxorg brought it up in his video. Kind of. Like, this game is really weirdly sexually charged. Like, I don't understand it. Because I've actually been playing it again. I need to get to New Game Plus so I can get footage for my own video on this. But, like, this game is just really sexually charged, and I don't know if it's the cutscenes, the designs, I don't know what it is, but it really is.
You know what? I have an idea.
Oh.
Ashley!
Oh, that was a bad idea.
The down system in this game for Ashley works a lot better. While she does work on her own health bar, right? Because in the original, you had to actually upgrade her health bar as well. The green, yellow, red to upgrade, or green and yellow to upgrade her health bar. If she lost all her health, she died. Effectively, she enters into a one down state. She can take, as far as I'm aware, as much damage as she can. Doesn't matter. She will just enter a down state, and if she gets another hit, then it is game over. But you can res her in the catapult section. Oh man, I had tested this thoroughly. I assured you on accident. She can get downed as many times as you think she could. And when she gets downed, you can just pick her back up. And she stands back up. Catapult hits her again. She's down. Leon! Pick her back up. Rinse, repeat until you actually get to the stupid door.
And like I said, the other characters have upgrades too. I completely forgot Luis even existed in the original.
Shame.
I didn't even remember him. So him being here was already better. He's a fun way to mix up the dark and dreary nature of the game. Like a lot of the levity from RE4 comes from the dorkiness of Leon and the situations you're in, but for the most part, the game is taken rather seriously. Like the game is what makes you laugh and say,
these enemies, so the Novistadors, they played a part in the original. Like, you remember the Novistadors, especially going into the sewers, right? Like, they are omnipresent in certain sections of this game. And they do make use of the camouflage as well, because in the original they could camouflage in the sewers, right? You had to actually watch for the little light being bended off their camouflage, right? So you could see the faint outline of them. This one, they're rough to deal with. I like it though. It adds a lot. It adds challenge to a game that could get stale. But they are. I like that they got a glow up in this in terms of just how much you see them and how much they can do to you.
oh, Leon.
I think you need to chill out.
But for the most part, the whole thing is treated as a serious situation. Luis has that lovely, smooth talking attitude that really gives it a lot more fun. It's also very nice to have the suspicious, overly smooth guy actually be the good guy. A guy who, well, did bad.
So, a fun fact about that part where you have to fight the two El Gigante, or El Gigante, right? Where you have to fight the both of them. I learned this last night being on New Game Plus, pause champ. Where if you kill the armored one first and you leave the unarmored one, Leon literally says, "All right, now the naked one next." And I'm just like, Leon.
Bad thing, sure, but a good guy at the end. Plus, his scenes were just remade in such a way to make it all that much more fun when he's around.
I think I might have seen a sample of the virus in a lab at the department.
Hey boy, I'm not dying.
Do something, cop.
After you.
That would have really hurt. Their wrists would really hurt. Iconic, campy. It's a good scene. Flows really well.
But later, saw some men dragging someone to the old church. Hanging with you, not healthy.
I mean, it was also a product of its time, to be fair. You could not do this in 2004. The 2004 did do what it could very well. That being said, theatrically, I mean, this is chef's kiss. I mean, yeah, that's how you do it. This man.
Hey, we're not done here.
Later, amigo.
This man. That
Also,
man.
most of the time when he's around, the gameplay gets sillier. In fact, specifically when he's around. Because this is Resident Evil, baby. If I want a totally detached, over-the-top minecart turret section, then god fucking damn it, I'm gonna get a totally detached, over-the-top minecart section.
Damn straight I am.
Jump! Oh yeah. Luis, can I get a hand?
You know what was another character I didn't even remember?
So I'm biased because actually I've really loved Krauser. I have loved Krauser ever since the original RE4. He is... I don't have the build for it. If I could find a way to buff up as much as this man, I would. I don't have the money to have the calorie intake it would require, because that is bodybuilding status. God, I love this man. I also went on eBay and bought like a $350 Krauser replica knife shipped from Pakistan. They forged it. It was great. I love it. I'm going to get the surface rust off of it, because for some reason the sheath just didn't do. I love it. Bottom line, I love Krauser. I remembered. I was so happy. I was like, oh, please don't remove Krauser. And then he showed up like, yeah! He does have the unfortunate, he kind of sounds like if Biff Tanner from Back to the Future went into the Marines. You'll hear it on his voice lines.
Krauser. I completely forgot he was in the game, which, when we talk about the story a little bit later, that might make some sense. But he doesn't get as much time in this game that I think he should. I know it gets more than the original, or at least he's fleshed out.
Fleshed out a little bit, yeah.
But despite that, his voice actor just kills the role. For a character that's barely in this game and doesn't contribute much at all to the story, he's got a VA with some lungs.
You're too soft to do what's necessary.
Metal Gear!
That's the difference between you and me, Loki.
He sounds like Biff Tanner from Back to the Future if he went into the Marines and smoked like 6 packs a day. God, I kind of love it now.
Time for the teacher to be taught.
Got him.
Oh, such confidence. Bring it, rookie!
It's actually really sad he's not utilized more. I know there was a spin-off game with him, but in terms of
Dark Side Chronicles, which is how he got the, oh god, what was it? It was one of the viruses. So he's not infected with Las Plagas, unless they changed it in the remake. I think it was the T. Veronica virus specifically, when he and Leon went into South America on that mission that the U.S. government left them for dead on. Krauser got infected by a bone spike from, I believe it was the drug lord's, was it daughter? It was their kid, because they were infected with it, and they ended up shooting a bone spike at Krauser. It was Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles if you're looking for the source game.
of RE4, I liked him a lot, and if only for his performance. One character I did remember, however, Salazar. I remember that little twerp plenty well. What I didn't remember was how much of a little bitch he was.
Got him. Yeah, this scene specifically, no, it's like Salazar talks a big game, but he's very childish in the fact that he gets done super easy.
Salazar was always an insecure person and was mainly there to do tons of peacocking, but wow, I forgot how much of a child he was, especially considering he is leaps and bounds better in the new one. He looks better, he sounds better, he's actually somewhat threatening, which is only added to by the fact that he has a proper and solid boss fight.
His boss fight is BS. I'll say that right now. So the thing about his boss fight, the one thing that I think everyone could potentially agree on, is when he clips through the stadium, when he clips through the walls and stuff. That is really the only thing that doesn't make it. He moves at like 2 speed tiers higher than Leon, which in itself isn't a bad thing. It's when he clips through the environment to get an unfair advantage. I mean, I can already hear people, oh, Kip skill issue. And, potentially, yeah. I mean, I'm not the best gamer out there. I'll say that. When I say something like this, it's not to bring down the overall experience. It's not to shit on the game in general. It's not to say, oh, 0 out of 10, bad game, right? I just note that it feels like it could have been implemented a little bit better. How they would have done that, I don't know. I'm not in game coding. I'm not in game design. I can provide criticism and feedback, but I can also say, look, I don't know how I would make this better with how this boss fight is currently designed in the arena. It's designed. I don't think it's possible to stop him from clipping through the arena. It did make certain interactions feel a little cheap, though, in my opinion. Once again, take that with a grain of salt. You could have had a lot better time than I did. You could have a lot worse time than I did. There's also cheeses to it. Allegedly, he's allergic to eggs, which is why in his throne room, and even in one of the merchant things, you have to throw an egg at his painting. If you take a golden egg and you hit him with it in the boss fight, I think it stuns him outright, which allows you to get a good, clean hit in.
The only person that I think can be a little controversial is the new Ada. So first and foremost, all right, the old Ada did things when we were kids. Let's be honest now. When we were young and played RE4, we remembered Ada plenty well.
Ada and Shigo definitely put me on this path of attraction towards the femme fatale personality trope. Let's put it that way.
I remembered quite well. Now, visually, the new Ada slaps. I like how they kept her femme fatale look intact while letting her be bit more realistically.
So actually, thing here that we noticed on stream. I'm going to interrupt really quick. I'm sorry,
femme
Bricky.
fatale
So look at her trigger. Look at the trigger on her firearm.
Intact, while letting her be.
See how her finger's not on the trigger? It's small things like that that really make this game shine. Well, why does that matter, Kip? It's trigger discipline. If you're not intending to shoot, you don't put your finger on the trigger. I mean, it's just basic trigger discipline. So she's having the illusion of wanting to shoot Leon, but not actually wanting to shoot Leon, because it's an entire tempo to get her finger on that trigger to even begin to fire. It's just chef's kiss. I love it.
Lapse. I like how they kept her femme fatale look intact while letting her be a bit more realistically outfitted. Capcom is doing the impossible. They found a way to make their character sexier with more clothes. Look at Cammy, but the voice is the controversial part. So much so that the VA apparently had to delete her social media.
Okay, please, okay. As a content creator, please do not do this. Like, as somebody that someone could argue, oh, well, Kip, you're an influencer technically because you can influence people, right? Don't care, right? Do not harass people. This is why in this video and on stream I have said like she's not a bad voice actor. She's really not. She's a good voice actor. I feel that the way that this was portrayed just didn't hit what Ada was meant to be, or at least the tone that we're used to with Ada, is, I guess I should say it better, right? Do not send harassment or death threats or anything like that towards these people. Do not. That's not how adults interact with each other. You can criticize, you're like, I don't think this performance was really what the original Ada Wong had intended, and I think it's a fair criticism. However, you don't harass someone. I mean, to be fair, this is nothing new. What was it? The original actor for Jar Jar Binks and the original actor for Anakin in Episode 1 of Star Wars, they were harassed endlessly. This needs to stop. We need to get better at this. We need to start calling this out. This is not okay. This has never been okay. I will personally go on, Lily Gao, I think you did a really good job. I think that the script, and as well as the tone that the script was trying to deliver for Ada Wong, I feel that might have been off. But as far as your performance, and as well as you being a voice actress, I think you did a very good job. I think you did a good job with what you were given. I will go on record saying that, not that as a small content creator I'm going to have much change, but I will say that you did a good job. You did a good job with what you were given, with the tools that were given to you, as well as the context, if you will, right?
Yeah, after getting harassed about it, which, I don't even need to say that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. I want to say it. I want to tell the people who did it they're a waste of air, but they don't watch me. And even if they did, they're obviously not smart enough to change their actions based on anything I say. So
Bricky and I on the same page, but Bricky definitely throwing down the sick birds. Love you.
Don't do that. Yes. I do actually have an issue with her new voice, but I don't think it's an actress problem.
No.
I mentioned before that voice acting issues are the fault of a few different people, either the talent, the voice director, or the script writer. Now, the talent is blameless here. I actually think her voice fits Ada really well.
Yeah, it does. Her voice is fine. It's the delivery, and I'm sure Brick's into that.
It's mature, has this lace of I'm not to be trusted, and when the delivery is right, it's really right. The script writers, I don't blame either, because so much of this game's script hits that thin line of hilarious and serious at the same time, so they're doing their jobs fine. I blame the voice director. They're the ones who ask for more takes, get different deliveries, and overall direct the VAs.
So this also does back my point on this is a delivery issue. This is the tonal issue, right? Because if, say, she did 10 takes for a single line for Ada Wong, right? And there could have been one or two of those takes that were very similar to the original Ada Wong, but the voice director here chose these specific takes to put into the final version. It shows that it's selective of the tone that they're going for the character. And I do feel that the tone of Ada Wong as a character was missed. I do think Bricky is summing it up nicely here, really.
A lot of it sounds off because I think they didn't get enough proper takes or picked the wrong takes to fit with the parts. Example 1, a bad take.
Don't think too hard, handsome.
Right. No, you can hear it. It's the tone.
See you later.
Example 2, a good take.
Try using knives next time. Better for close encounters.
There's that crack. That's my face because he's citing Krauser's teachings.
Not a bad move.
Yeah.
Very smooth.
This is completely fine. So it's clearly not ineptitude on the voice actress's part, because clearly she's competent. Clearly she's good at the role. It's in the final selection for the tone of the character that's being chosen by parties that aren't her.
When she's on it, she's on it. And each line in a vacuum is fine, but it's just not placed properly. Somebody dropped the ball, and I don't think it was her. So put on your big boy jorts. Stop being dicks. Ooh, while we're on controversial topics, let's talk about RE4's story. I have a question that needs to be posed. When we are discussing this game, are we rating it on its content as a whole or as a remake? Because
I actually rated it on both, being completely honest.
how you determine your number rating out of 10 scale has a lot of consideration, which might sound confusing, but let's go with this.
I would argue, interjecting here really fast, I would argue a numerical rating system, I would argue is antiquated, outdated, and would honestly serve mostly to just start discussions, potentially arguments, depending on the audience. If anything, when I rate a game, it's like, okay, would I recommend you buying this at full price? Tears of the Kingdom, would I recommend you buying this at deluxe premium pricing? Because that does factor into my review if a game's going to claim it's $70, because there are games still on the market that sell for $60 just fine. So if you're going to charge $70, I feel like you're going for the deluxe premium auction. You have your Destiny 2 Lightfall. You paid $100 for this thing for the entire year. What are you getting for it? But then you go down, like Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, right? What was it? It was $50, right? Cool. Yeah, that definitely goes into the pricing of that. Pricing definitely goes into it for me. However, I look at, is it enjoyable? How close is it to the old source material? Because like I've gone over with voice acting, right? How close is Ada's to the original Ada's? And it's not the tone of the femme fatale that we had in the 2004 version, right? Thus, I'm trying to critique it on how close it is to the original source material. However, I'm also saying, likewise, that, this is different, but this is fine. This thing about this game is different in regards to, say, the knife system is completely different. However, it's fine in this regard. It turns into, for me, personally, I do both. I look at a number of factors, and at the end, I will put, do I recommend the game at full price? Do I recommend it on sale? Do I recommend you getting it on heavy sale? Do I recommend getting it maybe if it's, like, free, right? I feel we can all agree on this, right? Resident Evil Village and 4 Remake have been one of the few games that I say, get the full MSRP. I honestly don't mind paying for it. Destiny 2 Lightfall, I should have got that crap on sale, like heavy discounted sale, and I'm very upset that Bungie has discounted as heavily as it has. Versus something like I don't even remember when I probably blocked out the last bad game I played, honestly. But then I could rate if it's a really bad game, really buggy, it's like, why would I play this, right? Season of the Deep, Destiny 2 Lightfall. Don't just, maybe if it's free, play it, but otherwise don't, right? That's how I can rate it. 10 numerical rating systems get a little weird.
Evil 4's story, plot, and villains, I don't think are particularly good. You will have to take the realism paradox into account here, because we mentioned this a little bit in the Modern Warfare 2 2022 review, where if you criticize something for being too silly, they'll say it's a Resident Evil game. Of course it's that way. Or if they criticize something for being too realistic, they'll say, well, that's how it would be in real life. It's just realistic. You cannot hide Resident Evil behind the idea that it was bad before, so it's fine, or that bad is just cheesy. Leon's dialogue in the original is cheesy, campy, etc. But often, part of what made it memorable was that it was actually just kind of bad sometimes, or wildly unacceptable for the situation.
I've been expecting you, my brethren.
No thanks, bro.
God, it's so campy. I love it. It gives me serotonin to see how campy it is.
His dialogue in the remake is a massive improvement because it's cheesy and dorky still, while being acceptable.
So that's your true power? Oh, I'd ask for a refund.
Dialogue can be realistic and funny at the same time.
This sucks!
So at what point does It's a Resident Evil game stop working for the flaws in this game. Because I think the story and villains aren't very good. I think a lot of the side characters don't get much screen time, so I don't care about their deaths, despite it being way better than the original. Luis, for example, gets a boatload more screen time here. He's fleshed out quite a bit more, and yet I still think he's underdeveloped. Krauser gets way better fights, a stellar VA, and more development, and he still feels like a random side mission. Lord Sadler has that problem that Resident Evil always seems to have, where they just don't do a good job at setting up the final villain.
They definitely changed Sadler in a lot of ways, and maybe Bricky.
Miranda in 8 and that young girl, what's her name, in 7 had the same issues.
Evelyn.
These problems were much more glaring in the original, and almost all of them have been improved. But improvement doesn't tip the scale into good/great. I think Ramon Salazar was really the standout, especially with his way better boss fight. Other than him, most characters feel like they're playing backseat to the Leon show, which I suppose happened in RE2 as well, but there were fewer characters to worry about. When I thought on my fading dream memories of RE4, the things that I did remember the most were the gameplay set pieces, the opening village being the big standout. But things like the Salazar
That's why I remember this scene.
Robot, the water room, all of that. I didn't think about the characters at all, and as I mentioned, forgot some even existed. So if I'm to look at RE4 from a completely critical view, laying it out on the table as how I feel, even with the remake, the characters fall a bit flat sometimes. Sadler is underdeveloped, Krauser is a
Sadler definitely got underdeveloped in this. I will agree with Bricky on this one. I felt like he just wasn't in the game enough. And in the original, in RE4 2004, he had a lot more when he was talking in the church after Leon first rescues Ashley, he's talking about, oh, well, we'll return her to her loving father with, some generous contributions, of course. We can't keep a church running, right? Okay, he's monetarily motivated. He's aware of how the world works. He's not just attached in some weird Los Illuminados cult that's just in the mountains, right? He felt his characterization, I feel, felt a little better in original, actually. And I got to play through this many more times, honestly, because it's a really good game. And Bricky's bringing some good. Bricky liking the Krauser VA, and even me just coming to the conclusion of it's just Biff Tanner who joined the Marines who smokes 6 packs a day. Suddenly, I'm liking his VA a lot more, right? There's a lot of enjoyment to be had out of this game, and I feel that some of the characterization, because of how short this game is, and it does have to really work within the confines of RE4's it's limited, if you will, by the original RE4 story. You can't necessarily make a chapter 16 that wasn't in the original because people would riot, right? Especially with the end. We'll get to the end cutscene later. But yeah, no, I think Sadler got done dirty here. If anything, Ramon probably got the best treatment here. By Torres Mendez was always kind of just he is the big cheese, if you will, the head honcho of the village, and then you get rid of by Torres Mendez because he's just meant to be the obstacle to finishing your mission. He is the first boss for all intents and purposes. I mean, sure, the El Gigante exists, but I mean, by Torres Mendez was the first true big three, right? Of the big three, where you have by Torres Mendez, Salazar, and then Sadler, right? So, yeah, long tangent.
Side story, and even Luis didn't get enough time to shine. And don't get me wrong, they're all way better than their original counterparts, but it didn't do enough to shove them into the good category, with exception on Salazar. But that was mainly due to the boss fight. Speaking of boss fights, this might be the first ever Resident Evil where I actually wanted to do one. Resident Evil boss fights have always felt kind of trash to me. I didn't like the ones in 7, 8, 2, or 3, but these were serious improvements. I think the better movement system, better weapon variety, and flat out better arenas made a huge improvement, not to mention, of course, the parry system.
I will say that there is a timing issue that always messes with my brain. When you swap a weapon, you cannot immediately fire it. As is realistic, right? You have to put your 5.7 away to pull out your skull shaker or something like that, right? But there is an inherent delay between you swapping to the weapon, to holding up, to ADSing, to being able to fire the weapon. And that has actually caused a lot of mistiming in my brain, because you could, in the original RE4, you could go into inventory and you could swap and you could ADS fire right away. I argue a faster tempo from getting it out of inventory to firing. But that's also just something that my brain has latched onto as far as I was having issues between swapping weapons to get the desired result. I could have also been doing it incorrectly.
And they're getting a lot out of the parry system in the redone Krauser fight. Honestly, I feel like they took a page out of the Rafe fight in Uncharted 4. The way he does the multiple combos and everything, it felt really similar. But no, these boss fights are lovely. They aren't stellar in terms of overall gameplay, but enough spectacle and dialogue can really make it. Well,
this Sadler fight, that Sadler was just mostly just set piece at that point.
I had picked up the newest super weapon on the block, the Blacktail, my beloved, which I had fully upgraded and done the exclusive upgrade for, giving it the same damage as my Stingray rifle.
Wow.
Rifle. From then on, I was a menace. So
never really used the Blacktail. I used the Red 9.
Once. I really liked the boss fights. They were a huge improvement. RE gameplay will always make it a little clunky, but damn, that Salazar fight? Damn, that music too? Damn! The only fight I didn't do was the Double Ogre one. I had a friend help me. All right.
Co-op help. The armored El Gigante in this game just look like Oleg High from like Tolkien, like the Oleg High from Mordor. Nice. Wow, did he one-shot both of them?
Easy game. God damn, I'm good at video games.
I'm gonna have to start getting better at the shot there. That's wild.
So, at the end of the day, I have a few questions on how we rate this game. It's a great game. With all of its flaws, it's still a great game. It's also a return to video games, where the main selling point of the game is the game, the gameplay. More specifically, I love games like God of War and Uncharted, but a lot of the time, those games like to put a lot of marketing eggs in the characters, the story, the graphics, and all these things I do love and appreciate. But this one put all of its eggs in the gameplay. The act of playing it, the pacing, the structure, the fun gimmicks, the upgrades, the merchant, the ammo economy, a return to the video game. But again, that question, do we rate this as a game or as a remake? See, I often ask people, what is your objective and subjective favorite? Let's take the Miyazaki films. Yeah. My objective favorite is Princess Mononoke. I think it is the strongest as a film in all aspects of like being a movie. My subjective favorite, my personal favorite, is Porco Rosso. The movie connects with me on a whole other level, and I just like it more. I think RE2 might be my objective favorite. I think it has a tighter storyline. Leon has a great progression from single cop to certified badass. The game also progresses with him as he gets more badass. The insanity of the game ramps up. Police station to underground lab. Birkin is also set up as the main villain a lot better. You get multiple fights against him and his story progresses in a smooth way. And of course, the Mr. X fight is just the most satisfying thing. Finally getting to kill the guy who was hounding you the whole time. So in my objective opinion, Jesus, I'm a prick, I think RE2 is the stronger game.
I mean, like, I do like the objective versus subjective argument. I mean, I can say, like, you know, because Kip gets people to be like, Kip, well, what are your favorite Resident Evil games? You know, I can tell them that 5 is one of my favorite games, and people look at me like, what do you mean? Why do you like 5? And I like it subjectively. I like it because it does a lot of arcadey mechanics. It is not a horror game. It is an action arcade, drop in, drop out, third person shooter. If you look at it through that lens, it's great. But that being said, I mean, if we're looking at it from an RE game, it's, I would argue, objectively a bad Resident Evil game. If we're looking at the Resident Evil formula, subjectively I like it because it's a title that I grew up with, a title that I put a bunch of hours into, and I actually really like the game. But it's one of those that it is a subjective argument. If I were to say, you know, I objectively like RE4, you know, I can defend it with facts and figures, right? You know, this whole video has been Kip reacting to Bricky, reacting to Resident Evil 4's remake's gameplay, right? Even the original as well. I mean, I can bring stuff to the table to defend the argument in an objective fashion, where there's still some subjectivity there as well, don't get me wrong. But, you know, I like this subjective versus objective argument he's bringing up.
But I play the RE4 remake 10 times more than the RE2 remake because goddamn, this gameplay is so fucking good. And the merchant is so good. The replayability, the new game plus, the weapons, the upgrades, the gimmicks, the enemies. Good golly gosh, it's such a treat to play. And as remakes go, it's the superior one. As a video game, gamey game, RE4 is fantastic. Even with all its flaws left over from the original, it slaps. It's a great time through and through. But as a remake, it's a goddamn masterpiece. As a remake, it has dethroned RE2 in my mind as the best remake ever made. As an overall product, 9 out of 10, give or take. I don't know quite exactly. As a remake, 11 out of 10. Ridiculous. I wondered if I would ever get sick of Capcom just releasing the old games as remakes and making hand over fist amounts of money, but it's too damn good to be mad about. If every remake was like this, every movie refresh, every game update, we wouldn't even be complaining. And to Ashley asking for overtime, I say,
No thanks, bro.
thank you everyone for watching. I hope I made myself mostly clear without coming off as a extremely snobby asshole. I have a hard time making the words out of the mouth good. Why use big word when small word do trick? Check out War Thunder. They're very kind for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate them. And so down there in the description. And if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can buy some merch. This is the Ukrainian Pride tee. We give away a percentage of the profits to Ukraine to help with the war efforts. And also we have sweatpants that you can. This is the Adeptus Ridiculous one here, but you can buy sweatpants now in the store and they are so comfortable. I love them. I'm biased, but like, you know, yeah, that's it for me. You all have a great one. Love you. Bye.
Come on. Obviously, you're a skater.
This was a really, really good reaction video. This took way longer than I thought it was going to because there's so much that Bricky brought to the table. There was so much that, I mean, I could have added, which I could have probably cut down on. This is a really good video, and I highly recommend checking Bricky out if you haven't. Absolutely just awesome creator. Rather than ramble off about, you know, even the changes that we could be seeing for a potential RE5 remake, I'm going to leave that ambiguous for now. It was absolutely awesome video. Absolutely recommend it if you haven't. I'd recommend playing RE4 Remake and the original as well while you're at it.